Oh, you're good. All right, we are streaming, we are live, and we are recording. All right, beautiful. We're gonna start with roll call. Actually, I'll do him last. We'll see if he gets on here. Councilman Wolf,
Here.
Councilman Benedetti,
Here.
Council President Strom,
She muted.
she's muted.
Sorry.
There you
Here.
go.
Very good. Councilman McNamara,
Here.
Councilman, I think Pearl's back.
I fixed it.
There you go. Stay here, Joe. Joe, are you here?
Yes.
All right, and Councilman Brugger.
Here.
All right, we are all here. Let's go to the minutes for October 19th, 2020, special council meeting. Do we have a motion to approve from anyone?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Extensions? All right, we're good to go on that. And we are going to get straight into legislation. Mark?
All right, a couple things on the docket tonight then. Our first one is the pool. Let's see if I can pull that up. Resolution 2020-35. This is up tonight for a third reading. I intend to move to pass it as an emergency so that we can get started and ensure that the pool is ready for opening season next year. Our final cost on this came in, the project shall not exceed $105,000. That has included in it the safety bottom for the baby pool, but not any of the other bells and whistles that were offered.
And with the idea that we'll be revisiting umbrellas via the community or something committee in the future.
Yep, we can always add stuff to it.
Beautiful.
But this is for the initial construction. So
Sounds
I'm
good.
move to pass this as an emergency and then we can have our discussion on it.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Who wants to chime in?
I do.
Mayor, yeah.
I'm gonna see if I'm gonna see if I actually, I'm not the only one that does this. People look at them. Jesse, I'm gonna ask you a question and make sure that I don't need to adjust this because I would rather adjust it and only count as a week if we need to, and maybe we don't. The way that we did this, the way that we did our figures, I did my figures based on the record, you know, with everything that Mike Flickinger gave me. So he is not wrong. That's not my question.
Sure.
105,000 is actually the amount that the village is still going to be responsible for. But I guess maybe now, as we're reading this, and it's been 3 weeks. Sorry that this isn't funny. This is taking into this is taking into effect the $75,000 grant that we are getting from
I see. The way it's
the pool.
written.
You're saying
So-
that's
The bank.
105 out of our pocket. And
Correct.
then the grant money isn't included in that. That's already spent. The
Correct.
actual
That's-
project is more expensive
right.
than 105.
So for example, like we've already paid MKSK, which was the engineering, and I probably could have sent you the information, but 105 is what we're authorizing for the Village of Minerva Park to spend out of our accounts. But there is, again, a $75,000 grant that's technically paying for engineering and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But the actual pool that it will cost the village is 105. Did we do that accurately, or should we have included that $75,000 grant in there?
No, I think the 105,000 is fine.
Okay.
I mean, that's what you're actually spending. We've already handled the grant.
Okay.
You could have it in there, but it's not necessary.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I don't have to come back to council, and honestly, we will probably have to do something when we receive the money from the grant. That would be my guess, that it'll
Sure.
probably have, you know, there's going to be some adjustments anyways. But before I let council go ahead and do something on my error, I would rather make sure I'm not incorrect.
But I think, are you sure? Because this is the this is the received the bid. The bid from Patterson Pools was not for 105 though, right?
Correct.
We're saying whereas this bid came in for 104 from Patterson Pool, and then the cost of the project not to exceed 105. Well, Patterson Pool's bid was more than 105.
I guess that's what, exactly, that's what I guess.
Doesn't really tie, doesn't tie, as I think Tiffany was trying, Mayor was trying to say, maybe it doesn't tie together very well.
I see what you're saying. I didn't catch the fact that we had a bid out, that the bid is more. Cost of
So
the
yeah,
project.
if you look at the actual bid amount, and maybe if I would have sent Mike's information, it was more doable. And I was thinking in terms of,
I mean, because it doesn't say where we're getting the money from, just at the cost of the project is a Patterson Pool project. So we should have the amount that Patterson put in there, right? Not how much the net is of how we're going to pay for it. Part grant, part from the.
and I
special
guess, yeah, I guess that's what I'm asking. Should I have a different amount? Should we put the amount of the actual pool regardless of where the money is coming from?
fund. That's what I
Because
think.
that's what I'm wondering if
Yes.
we should have done.
Yes,
I see,
because
okay.
this,
We should
yeah,
do.
this ordinance doesn't say, and take so
Correct.
much from the grant and take so much from that. It doesn't say anything about where the money is, where we're getting the money from. It just, this is about Patterson Pools.
Correct. So technically, I mean, I'm feeling like, and again, I don't know why I just decided to think about that out of,
Better
all of
late than
this, but-
never.
well,
If you
exactly.
listed if you listed the total and then said and then listed the amount for that particular document you're working on, that would work, wouldn't it?
Right. So when I do it based on including his $10,000 like leeway because he likes to have that little cushion in there, which is normal. It would be 159,950. So I guess here's my questions to you guys. And what I did is the actual waiting pool complete is $138,000. The bottom is 11,950, and then there's a $10,000 like a mistake thing in there, whether or not you guys want to put that in there, but that's usually put in there. Always some sort of a cushion in a project like this because you have no idea what's going to come about. But again, we
The
do-
159 includes the 10?
yes,
Sounds like it.
159,950.
So rounding
can
up to
either-
160, just to make it,
Exactly. So here's, I think, the two options, and Jesse, you can tell me if I'm wrong. We can amend this to be that amount, or we can just table it until I mean, I hate to do that, but it's still better than the 30 days. I can fix it and have it for the 9th of November and still pass it as an emergency. It's not exactly what I wanted, but at least we figured it
would-
out before it's a mistake. So I don't know, Jesse, the best way to handle that.
So if that isn't going to put you behind the 8 ball on a time frame, that is probably the cleanest way to do it, is
That's
to
what I'd rather
table it
do.
till the 9th and just clean it up.
Okay. Are you guys okay with that if we just table it tonight, pull it back off the table on the 9th, and I put the correct amount in there?
I
I'd
move
rather
that we
be ready.
table resolution 2020-35.
Yes.
second,
Is it
Yeah, I'll
under the
second
amount?
that pending appropriate documentation
I agree.
being added financially.
No, Mike gave me all of the numbers. It is not his fault, and I don't know why. I should have sent it to him to make sure, and I have no idea what made me think about that, except for, I don't know. Just sometimes things happen the right way, I guess.
Yeah, no
So I will get it
worries.
adjusted.
That was a
So-
good catch then.
So
Yes.
we have two different grants for this from the two different places?
No, we just have the
No, okay.
$75,000 grant.
Okay, the rest is us.
All right, so that has been tabled, so next we have a second reading of Resolution 2020-36. This is giving the mayor authority to enter into several reoccurring contracts with various providers for continuous operations throughout the village. Anything fancy or you want to point out for us on this one, Mayor Hughes?
No, I took this copy from last year, added a couple things that were missing. And that's it. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
I
It's a
noticed.
document that we do every single year. we just knew that we needed to get it out and start the readings before we run out of time.
Is the contracts gone up? Are they all the same? You know, like there's the prosecutor, like Kelly Roth, the prosecutor.
At this point in time, I'm not expecting most of them to go up, but I think that's the majority of why they do this. Instead of having to bring every single one to council, if we don't get it until the week before Christmas, then I don't have the authorization to sign it until you guys, and then we're out of contract. So I'm, and Jesse, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this basically gives me authorization to sign the contracts that are gonna come up in January, December to January, because we can't do 3 readings and do all of that on every single one of those, however many contracts that is. And I will tell you, last year, I know that we missed the Aqueduct. We missed a couple of them because they weren't signed until, I assumed they were done. I thought that, you know, prior administration had done it. Some of them just, yeah, they happened between December and January. Most of
Looks
them.
to be 28 of them on there.
Yeah, so it would be 20, if you guys don't, this is just so I have authorization to sign the same contracts that we've signed year after year after year after year. If there's certain ones that you guys don't want, this is the second reading, and then it would have to be brought to you guys. This is, again, other than like the Cardinal, like vending machines and things like that, that was added. And again, that's the vending machines at the pool. We just go through them every single year. So there's really not much of a difference that we're not paying them, but we're getting money from them. But we get X amount from, you know, if you guys want to try to renegotiate how much we get for a Snicker bar or whatever, I think we can do that. But these are the same contracts that we do every year, and it's to give me authorization to do it. So we don't have to do 3 readings, pass as an emergency or not as an emergency, and we can actually
I
function.
understand why we're doing this. My question is, are the contracts the same as they were last
We
year?
don't know. We don't have it
Right,
yet. That's-
they would have to wait until they'd have to catch them on when it's time to renew them, and then they'd have to, so I'm sort of going where Tony is going, and that we've always kind of let this go because we just haven't had the knowledge. But honestly, I think that an ordinance like this should say that any rate for the service that's going to exceed a certain percentage needs to be pulled out or brought before council for individual approval. Something like that is something you might want to think about, a council might want to think about, because really this gives the, and this is, I mean, we're not saying anything about Mayor, she's always very frugal, but this does give the person carte blanche to sign a new contract for any additional amount, even if it was a 200% markup, you know, from where we were in the budget. On the other hand, Kim is doing the budget for next year, and if it goes up too high, if none of these go up too high, then it's going to throw off the budget anyhow, and it would have to come to council
For the appropriation.
right, as a new appropriation. So you could argue either way. I'd like to see, like, and I don't think we're ready either, but like, for example, the KGT, if it is in fact up for renewal, that's one that we talked about that maybe ought to go out for bid again, possibly. Maybe that one gets pulled out of this list and is discussed separately or not. I don't know if there's a will or desire to do that.
Well, I would like to know what the contracts were approved. I'm confused as what we're just saying. We're going to approve all the contracts and we don't know what they are. It's like, is that what I'm hearing?
What you gotta
We
remember
don't know what
is that-
any of them are, but we're going to approve it. We do it.
So you guys have the ability to not do this, and you guys, it's going to be brought up to you guys. But again, you have to look at the fact that when all of these individual contracts come up, you guys have the 3 readings and the 30 days. So you guys, it's entirely up to you guys. I'm not pushing for it. This is something we've done every single year. I was told this is something we need to get in front of you. So it doesn't, so things don't lapse, things don't do this, things don't do that.
But we've always
Because this isn't been anything that is brought to my attention that's going to be an issue. So any of our contracts like Aqueduct, again, there's going to be changes to Aqueduct if we decide to increase anything. That being said, I think you guys also know that anytime there's anything of any sort, I bring it to you guys. So I think you guys have probably gotten more emails from me this year than you've gotten from anybody in previous administrations over the years. So I think that I don't want you guys to do this based on trust that you guys trust me, but I'm not going to sign anything that's going to do that is a significant difference over year. I would bring it to your guys' attention like I've done with everything. So
I know-
that said, it's entire, you guys don't have to pass this. You guys can do 3 readings, 30 days on every single one of our contracts. So
Well, is there something wrong if we decide to trust you?
that's up to you guys. You don't take my word for it. The other
Is
part
there-
is
is
like
there
Diane's
anything-
saying.
Well, you're the mayor. You're supposed to
No.
ask us to take your.
What Diane's also saying is there's still only X amount of money appropriated that you guys have to pass as well. So she's not going to appropriate $30,000 for something that's only been 12,000 in the past. So you guys are going to be passing a budget that's going to be X amount of dollars for the prosecutor. In the event that, you know, it goes up more than X, we're not going to have the money in there. So yes, it's going to have to be brought to you for new appropriations. So there is a checks and balances when it does come to that. So she's not going to appropriate a significant amount of money over top of year over year. I'm assuming she's probably going to budget a little bit more for most of the contracts year over year because everything increases year over year. Again, this is a document that I brought. This is second reading. You guys can opt to do whatever it is you want to do. Doesn't matter to me. I mean, again, I think part of it is it's to make things go smoother.
I mean, Jesse, you're one of them that has a contract coming up. Have you guys, are you waiting to come up with what you want for next year? What your contract's going to be, or?
I mean, well, no, I mean, just speaking for Frost Brown Todd, we're just keeping it the same as it was last year. So it would just be a renewal.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm would like to understand is just, I don't understand why we're not getting with all the different people that we have, we want to approve these contracts and find out what they're going to be.
Because it depends on if you're going to make any adjustments. I can already tell you, Aqueduct, if you're going to do anything different than you did the last time, meaning including any one of those 4 ponds, if you guys want to do anything different, they're going to send me over. I have some different things that they've already sent me. So for example, Aqueduct is going to be different.
If there's 20, I mean, I can remember the time when the council used to pass a different ordinance for every contract. I understand the importance of kind of consolidating some of them, but why are we worrying about passing or approving Aqueduct when we're not even talking about that now? I mean, for me, this is something for the prosecutor, the law director, the engineer. I've got to look at what the list is, because 28 different contracts we're passing all at one time. It hasn't been like that I'm familiar with.
It's been like that, all the ones I went past, because I actually, just so you know, I go back to previous years to pull it up to do any of the resolutions that I use or the ordinances that I use. I go back and get samples from years before. That's how we do it. So this is something.
I think that this is the most complete list I've ever seen. It's got the kind of the kitchen sink in here, and
there's 3 added from last year, just to give you a quick rundown, and it was actually the vending machine.
Right.
Frost Brown and Todd, which was on there 2 years ago because his contract is usually for 2 or 3 years. So that's why that one's on here, but it was on previous ones before. And the third one is the cleaning people. And that's just because we've started doing that this year. Those were the additions from last year. Feel free to go.
Also, don't forget, you've got Paycor on here.
And Paycor, because you guys have already done that contract. You guys just
Right,
did
that contract is, right, you just added it as a placeholder, but you've already negotiated
Correct. So if they come
this
back,
one,
so
so
if
we
we
know
have
what
to
the
sign,
Paycor.
right. So if we have to sign another contract in October or November, it doesn't have to go through everything that we went through the first time, especially if it's going smoothly. Again, you guys,
Yeah, so this is, for the, it's for the, I mean, I would think that it's something that I don't know, it just seems like we're kind of like, we're just doing this in a little bit of a careless way, but it's not, I mean, all of these are known. There isn't anything on here that I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know about everybody else because some people are new, but I'm aware of what these things are. The thing is, they'll come up, like the property and liability insurance will come up, it'll be negotiated, et cetera, et cetera. There's a certain time of year, if we had the contract vendor, the service, and the renewal date, it might make a little more sense to people. But
Well, maybe we can get an asterisk or a footnote on that aqueduct thing to tell them to put the chemicals in the north end of North Lake. They forget often. And then I hear from the Millers.
anyhow, we are on, is this the second reading?
This is the second reading of this.
Okay, so why don't people noodle on that, and then if we need to, we'll have a work session. We can ask everybody again at the work session, do we need to table it? Are we okay with that? Give people a chance to think about it.
There you go.
And then
Sounds
again,
like
just feel free to go back and, just feel free to go back and look at the other ones as well. I just pulled up the 2018 and we have the magistrate, the engineer, legal services, Cardinal Vending did make it on that one. Public defender, plumbing inspections, lake and water maintenance. Again, the other one that's on there that was added was the Franklin County for
Mosquito spraying,
mosquito spraying.
right?
The lake water maintenance is on here, Aqueduct, property and liability insurance, Target law enforcement, and KGT services. So again, this was done in 2018, 2019. I can continue to go back further and see how many years this is done. So again, this is, if you guys no longer want to do this, it's entirely up to you. I'm just
No
pointing
one's
out. that this
saying
is
we don't
something
want to
that we've done.
do this anymore. It's just that I'd like to know what contract, what the contracts are for.
You guys are more than welcome.
Okay, I'll take
Yeah,
a
you guys are more than welcome. I mean, again, you guys tell us what to do, and each week, each month that one comes up, we'll bring it to you. It just, yeah.
All right. Anyone else on that then? Okay, let's move on to our next piece of resolutions. And that is 2020-37, a resolution authorizing and approving the execution of a contract with the City of Columbus for fire and EMS services, excuse me, and declaring it an emergency. This is our third and final reading. Or do I need to waive the second reading tonight as well?
Yes.
Okay. I
So
will
this
be
is the
asking,
second, yeah.
Is
this
the
second.
hydrant stuff in there? Or is that changing?
I'll get to that in one moment, Joe, as soon as I'm
Okay.
finished with
Thank
the,
you, sir.
description here. So looks like we are trying to pass this tonight as an emergency. The cost of the contract is $175,000 annually. I believe that is $10,000 less than it was. Is that because we pulled back the fire hydrant maintenance to us? I'm seeing Jesse already shaking his head yes. So yes, this is with us doing our own fire hydrant checks and such. And that's why it's 175 instead of the 185 it was last time we read it. I will start by moving to waive one reading on this.
Second.
Hang on, I was asleep at the wheel on that
Isn't
one.
this, I thought this was the second reading, so are we waiving the third reading?
If you guys want this done before November 1st, today's your last opportunity to pass.
I'm
this
just technically, I'm talking about how it was phrased, just what exactly we're doing.
Waiving the second
Yeah.
reading.
Well, what about the third reading?
No, this is the second
Third,
reading.
yeah.
He
Waive
just
the
did
third.
the second reading. So we
Right.
are only waiving
Wait.
one reading, the third reading.
The
Waiving
third reading. Okay. So,
You just say waiving a reading without giving it a number, just because I couldn't remember which it was, if I'm waiving the second or the third, waiving a reading of it.
I
Does that mean
second waiving,
there's a-
I second waiving the third reading.
Does
Okay.
that mean there'll be a motion to approve it now?
There will be after-
If we,
I decide
Okay, I'm,
a little note on my table that tells me I need to do this before I move on to passing it.
Correct.
okay.
Okay, so we have a second for waiving
The third reading,
the third reading.
right.
All right, so let's go to Councilman Bruger.
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti. We didn't hear you.
I think you're gonna have to do it again. I think you froze for a moment there.
Sound,
Benedetti,
Aye.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman McNamara,
Aye.
and Council President Trump.
aye.
All right, so the final reading was waived and now we move on.
All right, the final reading has been waived. We are to our third reading then, or we are whatever, where we are. I can pass this, and I can move to pass this now. I am gonna move to pass this as an emergency since we want to get this contract and our services started on November 1.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
All right,
Roll that call.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Councilman Bruger,
Aye.
Councilman McNamara,
Aye.
Council President Trump,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti.
Aye.
All right, and there we go. We are good on that.
Okay, scrolling down, scrolling. Okay, this one is one I have a little bit to say about. This is ordinance 14/2020, an ordinance to accept MI Development Reserve areas and declaring an emergency. Now, this is only a second reading. No, why on my paper?
It is.
today-
Ignore those because they were adjusted and apparently when we put it back in, so you're not crazy. We'll get it
Awesome.
adjusted.
Okay, yes, this is the second reading, so we have time to make these changes. It was brought up in legislative committee that we might not want to pass this as an emergency. I think it was put on as emergency because it is sort of a real estate thing. And that was perhaps suggested. It's not a money transaction. We're not buying things from, we're not spending money. We don't really need it as an emergency. The other thing that was brought up, and this is of course our second reading, is we would table it after this until we officially have signed off on all the punch out things. Am I representing our committee meeting correctly, Brian and
Yes.
Diana?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
Glad to hear that.
so those are the two stipulations that would follow or change from this, is we probably won't do an emergency, and we will, I'm just gonna move to table this until we have the final punch out list complete to our satisfaction.
You don't need to table it until third reading.
Right, we don't need to table it.
Next time
Yeah.
I read it, I'll table it then.
Right. Okay,
So there we go. Second reading is done on that one.
Sounds good.
All right, ordinance 15/2020. This is also a third reading. This is our adjustment of money for the EMS to pay for their final 2 weeks. Anything else anyone want to say about that? Anything anyone want to add? Mayor shaking her head. Well, you're shaking your head that I said it wrong or that you don't want to add anything.
No, I don't have anything to add to it.
Much better. All right, then I move for its passage.
Second.
All right, discussion. Call that roll.
All right. Council President Trump,
aye.
Councilman Bruger,
Aye.
Councilman Curl,
Aye.
Councilman McNamara,
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti,
Aye.
and Councilman Wolf.
Aye.
That
All
was
right,
good.
moving on to ordinance 16/2020, and looking at the numbers at the bottom of this, is this the third reading of this as well?
Yes,
Okay.
we added to it since the first reading.
Gotcha. So there's
what
more
was-
things, new things added as well. Let me get to the title and I will throw to you for the new things. An ordinance to make supplemental appropriations for the current expense of the village of Minerva Park for the year of 2020. We have been not dragging, but this has been going on since October 12th. We were warned there might be some changes to it. Those changes are here. These would be the final changes since this is the third reading. I will let the mayor speak to those changes.
In the general fund, the EMS change is the additional 30,000. That is the amount of money that we will be paying roughly to the city of Columbus for the last 2 months, November and December, for the EMS fire contract. Then we move on to the police department. We unfortunately have had to cancel most training events this year, so there was money in the training fund. So they asked whether or not it would be okay if we move some funds around for the Minerva Park Police Department to have a less lethal program. And what that's going to be is to support beanbag guns and additional tasers. So we took some money from the training fund and the uniforms fund, both of which they're not asking for. My point is they're not asking for additional money. They're asking to reallocate their money from the police funds. So, and I think most people would be pretty excited to find out that it's for at least a less lethal option. So that's what it's for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what that is for, moving money around. You can see the negatives and the positives in the other. So there you go. That's it. That's just, and the other one is TIF money. That's the one that's been on there that we've been talking about.
Yep, the one at the bottom there is the TIF money that we're shuffling along to where it needs to go. All right, I am going to move that we pass this.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I just think it's a good thing to hear about our police force kind of adjusting its options and platforms for less than lethal to increase less than lethal options. That's a good change, especially in light of this year's events.
All right, well then let's start with you. Councilman McNamara,
Emphatically, aye.
Councilman Wolf,
Aye.
Councilman Bruger,
Aye.
Council President Sherman,
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti,
Aye.
and Councilman Curl.
Aye.
All right.
That concludes my legislative agenda for this evening. Thank you for being a wonderful audience.
You're not done. All right, do we have any new business?
I didn't say we were done with the meeting. I said I was done with my legislative portion of it.
Any updates on trick or treat night?
So, well, I don't know if you guys want to, I have a whole, like, I have a bunch of really fast stuff. So, also, I think Eric and Jesse are still on here. You guys are more than welcome, because I think all of this is going to pretty much just be a couple random things. So if you guys want to get off, you guys are more than welcome to. Old business, new business, I'm not sure what all of it fits into, and you guys may have no appetite to do a couple of these things. It is slated to be a yucky Thursday night, Thanksgiving, Thursday night trick or treat. Is there any appetite to have a rain date whatsoever?
No.
Are there any special rules for it?
No, we can do whatever we want to do. We follow MORPC for the simple fact that that's the date that they feel is most appropriate, sticking away from the weekends. There was a
No,
Facebook
I
post,
meant any COVID rules implemented on that trick or treat stuff.
social distance, wash your hands.
There's
I mean,
there's gonna be no policing, so whatever,
yeah, I mean,
people
it's-
have to just read what
if you
you're.
don't want to participate, you do not have to. Clearly, turn your light out. For the ones that do want to participate, there's a Facebook post that tells what houses. There's probably more houses than what is on there, but there's a list of houses that will be participating. So feel free to stop at those houses. We ask that people social distance. We ask that, anybody that's passing out candy, wear a mask. Other than that, be responsible. I think that it's outside. So we're hopeful that, people are responsible and they do what's best for them and their families.
I
And
have
again,
a suggestion.
Yeah.
The old days of having a bucket full of candy and all the children all reach into the same bucket with their hands. The treats can be put on a tray where any child who takes a treat only touches one of them That's just a suggestion, or you can have tongs and put this stuff in their bag, but not recommended to have every kid in the neighborhood reaching into the same place.
I can't imagine that most people would do that this year. I've heard multiple different things of what people are doing. And again, whatever you feel safe with and whatever you don't feel safe with, there's talk of leaving the bag for 2 days, sitting out and not touching it for 2 days, wipe it all down with a Lysol wipe as soon as you get home. We've heard it all. So I think they're all great suggestions, great ideas. I'm not here to manage exactly how everybody's doing it. If you walk up to a house and you're not comfortable, keep going.
Well, I just putting out a couple ideas. I
Yeah.
put it on a tray and then the
Yeah.
kids could take whatever they want, but they're not
Absolutely.
touching more than one thing.
Exactly. Tables, trays. There's some people that are going to shoot them down a thing. So there's a lot of really good ideas. I think, again, it can be done safely if people really do take precautions. So I think we have, I think at this point we're in October. I think everybody knows what's expected of them. And I don't think anybody's going to want to upset their neighbors. So
Yeah.
again, if you don't want to trick or treat, turn your light out. That's always been the case. If you do, I've heard a lot of people, one of the other recommendations is to stand outside and pass out candy. If it's raining, that's going to cause a little bit more of an issue. So again, that was the whole, my thought was to put a rain date. You guys have no interest in a rain date. Is everybody on the same page? I heard one or two. Is there anybody that wants to do a rain date?
I would be willing to if there is widespread support.
Why is there rain predicted?
Yes. It's supposed to
I
be
think
the
it'll
high is
help.
49 and
It'll
rain.
help clean the air and cut down on transmission possibilities.
There you
Little
go.
rain.
Scientist Tony.
I mean, I
Or
agree
we
that
do it.
the high humidity will knock droplets out of the air, but that
Mark, do you have a thought?
We can have it on Thursday.
Okay.
We had it a few years ago when I thought it was too cold and snowy out and we could have done it on the weekend, but oh well.
I mean, the kids they'll get out there. They will move heaven and earth to have Halloween, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, it'd
It's the people-
be kind of late in the game to change it for them too.
Yeah, I think so, because really that's why I understand the weekend business, but really when you have Halloween on the 31st, then there's no discussion about moving it one way or another. It is the day, but I understand the decision and why it was made, so I think might as well stick with it.
I trust the people of Minerva Park to do the right thing and be safe and smart.
Looking at the weather report and knowing everything that's going on, I already bought only 2/3
Yeah.
I bought last year, so.
If it rains hard enough, I just trick or treat as the Gorton fisherman.
Okay, so I will blame it all on you guys. That way I'm not the bad person. No, I'm kidding.
There you go.
No, actually, I'll just blame it on Tony. They're going to start installing the HVAC tentatively on Wednesday. So just kind of an FYI.
Great.
I really did have some other stuff. You guys should be getting some information. I keep saying this, but I think you guys are going to be getting an email from Paycor. But because your guys' is a set amount, you guys will not have to do anything. I know I got it. I know they are still implementing some of the updates to that. So it should be up and running for this pay period. But you guys do not need to do anything. So if you do get the app and you guys want to sign up, because that's how you guys are going to view your pay stubs, is going to be from that app. So just as an FYI, it will be coming eventually, but you guys will not need to do anything. So that's just a little bit of info for you guys.
Mark?
Real quick, Tiffany, you already said we're not going to do anything, but I just want to confirm because why not? So that means we're not going to have to give them our account rounding numbers and stuff again, because they'll just pull that open for another one.
Exactly. And that's what's been going on. That's pretty much what's been going on right now. That's that. I don't have an updated date yet. It's going to be weather dependent as far as the concrete. So anytime he can get out there over the next week or two, we're expecting that. I do believe it's going to be the first week of November-ish to the right around that somewhere between the 1st and the 10th. So that's going to be the other thing. So that's moving. And does anybody have any other questions? I don't know what else I had. Road closure. I think most of you guys probably saw that today. If you didn't, FYI, it could potentially be again tomorrow. It's at Cleveland Avenue and Wildwood all the way up to Elmhurst. Please go slow around the work trucks. And I understand people are frustrated. I get it, but there's no need to honk at them and turn around in the middle of the street and yell at them. Like, seriously. And I don't know if it was a resident or not, but I witnessed literally somebody yelling at the sewer workers. I mean, come on, people. So
Did you hear about today on 161?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So I can
I
only
was in it. Horrible.
I know. I can only assume it was not a resident, because most residents are thrilled. My guess is it was somebody trying to hurry up and cut through. It was on Minerva Lake Road. So anyways, just go slow, be careful. For those of the people that are concerned about the front of their yards, there is going to be some sewer work in the easement in the front of some people's yards. I do not have an exact day of which those are going to happen. They move from spot to spot based on where the pipes are taking them to next. I know that's not the question a lot of people want to know. I have gotten at least 5 upset residents call me to tell me they were not notified that there was a sewer project being done in front of their home. This, if you haven't already heard, this is your notification. It has been in the newsletter. I don't know what days they're going to be there. I've told people that it can happen over the next 30 to 60, 90 days. That was way back in July, and that still remains. They are working on them. I wish I could give a better guideline and know exactly where they're going to be, but unfortunately, one project leads them to the next project, leads them to the next one. We did have to have Bloodhound come out and do more waterline mapping. So that was done. Again, that was in some people's areas as well. So I apologize, but I cannot get an update every single morning and go tell everybody every single morning exactly where they're going to be working. I wish I could, but just know that they're doing everything that they can to minimize the disruption.
You know, I'm assuming they're going to come back and patch the holes in the street better than with gravel. I mean, like the one close to the community building, it's just, I mean, it's not asphalt.
I would assume that that's all going to be done at the same time. I would assume there's going to be numerous places because they're ripping up the road at Elmhurst and Wildwood. So there are several projects that are major projects. I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest key. I mean, we have a lot of sewer work that's being done. They have even come out and fixed people's yards 9 months later. So they have been a great company to work with. So if anybody has any problems, questions, concerns, again, don't reach out. But this is my apology to everybody that isn't notified the day that they're in front of their house. I don't know where they're going to be from day to day.
Are we putting any of this the best way we can on the website?
The same postings that I have. I mean, yes, we did put when we knew that there was going to be a street closure, that was put on there. I actually did notify a couple of the residents that live right there. So there were many people that did know. Unfortunately, they still couldn't tell me what date, only because it's weather dependent. So
I'm just asking because if we're going to put pictures, well, that's communications. But if we're going to try and put photos of the tax dollars at work idea, I'd like to try and be sort of consistent. I passed by, I guess there's a big crew right over by the community building right now with backhoes and everything.
Yeah.
But I didn't get any pics.
They were doing more tree removal and all of that kind of stuff on Thursday. So they were out there doing that project. Brad was out there with some large equipment. And then the last day will be focused back in the North Lake. So I don't have a tentative date for that yet, but I think I already told Eric. I don't even know if Eric knows exactly when it is. So, but they're working on, we still have one more day. So once we get all that done, again, I'll have Tony go in and fix the valve. And that is a blurb in the newsletter that I have added. So there's quite a few things that'll be in there. So that is being sent to the printer ASAP, like today or tomorrow. I don't know if it got in today, but worst case, it'll be in there tomorrow. So if anybody has anything that they're dying to have in there, just make sure that they let me know tonight.
Did you get my email?
I did.
Perfect.
So I forwarded
Because
that.
I've
to her.
only gotten like 2 responses, so I'd love to get more out there.
Exactly. I'm going to tell you, you'll probably be pushing the time in which it's going to be delivered with all of the delays from everything that we're hearing. Sorry, with everything, with all of the bulk postal, we're told that they are still running a delay. And as of right now, we are at, I don't even know where we're at. What are we, October 27th? So by the time we get it done, I mean, hopefully it hits people before the 9th. That's the hope.
Oh,
So,
they're
yeah.
they're prioritizing election mail from my understanding, which is more than acceptable.
Exactly. So I'm not sure how long it's going to actually take to get out the last one. That's why we hand delivered them. But this one, that's probably the most time sensitive thing that we have in there. So again, that's all I have.
Do we
That's
have
all
a
I
big
right
thing on the website about the transfer date when we change from our EMS to Columbus?
Correct. It is on the.
I have had some complaints about that.
You have or haven't?
I have.
Oh, yeah.
People
No,
said, gee, ambulance don't we get notified?
Yeah, no, it's on the website. It's actually on
Good.
the website and it's on the Facebook page.
I would
Great.
point
The
out
village
to
Facebook
them
page.
that if they know we're having a change, they have already been notified.
There you go. Yes. So, and again, if there's anybody out there that has any problems, questions, concerns, they're more than welcome to reach out to me anytime. I'm done. Does anybody else?
Do we have any assigned firehouse now from Columbus?
No,
Our
we
clo-
won't.
Yeah,
Or
no,
do
our
we have an
closest
assigned
place is-
battalion chief or anything like that?
I don't think they're gonna assign us one, do you? I mean, I think we're gonna get whoever's, if it's 6 is the closest one, but that's not
Yeah.
necessarily a.
Well, there's
Correct.
probably 2 close by if it's a 2 alarmer.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I would also assume it's 6.
I think
I mean,
one's
we've
Carl
never-
and Morse.
They've always responded before. We've never had fire. They've always responded, and we've never had a designated firehouse or a designated chief.
This really
One's
doesn't
Carl
change
and Morse.
much.
I'll look up where they are because, whichever the closest are available.
And then I will be working with Rick to figure out exactly how we need to do everything, and actually Jesse as well. We've had communication going back and forth with exactly how we're going to maintain records and how we're going to do and who's going to do what. So we are in the process of working on those things this last week. I also do have a phone call into, this is more of an admin thing, but just so you guys are aware, to our insurance company to verify exactly what we need to do with that.
Well, hopefully that's going down.
Exactly. So I have a call to them for several things. Well, it's going down, but then we're taking over the whole new section with the basketball court and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's gonna, because as of right now, that's still not on there. So that's, we're telling them that we're taking over this whole other area with 4 additional
That's
ponds.
Well, they
And
probably
and it
had a
should-
pretty
should
heavy
impact-
dime on that EMS coverage.
And the, and the workers' comp as well should go down.
Yeah. So we're working on all of that kind of stuff. We have a couple leads on some potential people that may be interested in some of our equipment. And then again, we don't even pay our last payment on the truck, but we're working on that right now too. So we can get that done to where we can potentially get that sold. So there's a lot going on. If anybody has any questions specifically about any of those types of things, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure it's not anything anybody wants to listen to right now. So.
Well, I just 2 points. The one is on the concrete and I'm saying probably you're already aware of this, but there's those 2 air conditioning units that are right next to any concrete work that's being done. Just so people they don't do anything to mess up. I mean, if they don't make sure they get their concrete steps and everything, there's a unit on there and then there's a unit up on top and that should all be copacetic, but the HVAC people, if they knew that something was going to be concreted, they might have, I don't know what they're doing for a pad or anything like that. So just, I don't know if it means anything or not. I'm just bringing it up. And then the the second thing is I just wanted to say that this is really, this approval of this resolution for Columbus Fire, this has been something that has been weighing on the village for at least 10 years, if not longer. And so this is pretty monumental shift. This is a big deal that this is finally resolved. It's expensive, but it's finally resolved. And I don't know. I just think it's a big deal.
I completely, I do.
Well, it is.
agree.
It's a life and death deal at times.
All right.
There's a big firehouse at Little Turtle on 161 too. That's probably for around here if they need it.
You know, Joe, I was more, Councilman Curl, I was more pointing to the fact of just, the village has gone from, the village was such a small village that, the whole idea of getting EMS and fire coverage was always a difficult and expensive undertaking. And, it wasn't going to, it just, but thanks to a confluence of that and MI homes and increasing our tax base, et cetera, it's making it possible for us to continue as a village, as an entity.
Right.
Because, if we were trying to handle this cost with just the Heritage Minerva Park area, without the MI revenue, without being a bigger village, we might not have been able to pull it off. So it's a big deal.
Well, it is. And it's, when I was dealing with the fire department on occupancies and social distancing and stuff, some of this came up. They were somewhat disgruntled about our part-time EMS, to put it mildly, but that's resolved, however you look at it.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess it's just the water I swim in coming in when I did, but yeah, it's definitely significant. I'm happy that we've come to an outcome, or a good
Well, I mean,
outcome at least.
we can afford it.
Yes.
Is the best part about it.
Yeah.
All right, I move to adjourn.
Anything to make our people happier and safer and healthier.
All right, Tony.
Well, I was on the receiving end of those guys. They were there in 3.5 minutes and saved my butt about 5 years ago. So you won't get a bad word out of me about it.
Right. All right, Tony, you're up.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Woo-hoo.
All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah.
Aye.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Good
Bye,
night.
guys.
Yeah, bye.